Well, good morning, everyone. Well, here it is, the 1st of July. The year's half gone. I'm sure we're all desiring this year to be over already. Today I'm coming to you from North Carolina, where Donna and I are visiting her Aunt Sally, and we are just relaxing as much as we can. We've been taking it easy, enjoying the family fellowship and our vacation. Today I want to talk to you about truth, and mainly how to discern truth, and I put this together in one big long thing, and it was like way too long, so we're going to split it into two parts. The first part today, I'm going to talk about why we should be discerning and how we can be discerning in spiritual matters. And then I want to do my next section, I'm going to do it on how to be discerning in secular matters, particularly the news. So you don't want to miss that. So mainly, how to discern truth. And this day of fake news and fact checkers have their own agenda. I think it's of paramount importance that everyone, especially Christians, know how to discern truth from falsehood. As Spurgeon said, discernment is not knowing the difference between right and wrong. It's knowing the difference between right and almost right. So to paraphrase that, discernment is not knowing the difference between truth and falsehood. It's knowing the difference between truth and almost truth. But why is it important to be able to discern truth? Well, for one thing, we are commanded to be discerning. In Ephesians 5:6, Paul writes, "Let no one deceive you with empty arguments." Now, how can we stop people from deceiving us with empty arguments if we cannot, alarm went off, if we cannot discern the false from the truth? In 1 John 4:1, we find this, "Dear friends, do not believe every spirit, but test the spirits to see if they are from God, because many false prophets have gone out among the world." Here we are commanded to test the spirits and see if they're from God. So you see, Christians, we need to be discerning. Finally, in 1 Thessalonians 5:20 and 21, we find this, "Don't despise prophecies, but test all things, and hold on to what is good." Again, a command to test all things and hold on to what is good, that is, what is truthful. The implication being to discard that which is not good or which is untruthful. I think you can see that it's important for us to be discerning. But how do we develop biblical discernment? Well, let's go to the Word and see what we find. When discernment shows up in Scripture, the words from which it is translated invoke the idea of wisdom, understanding, insight, reasoning. And you can check these out in 1 Kings 4:29, Proverbs 2:3, Daniel 2:14, Philippians 1:9. It incorporates the ability to identify lies, the skill of being able to rightly divide the Scriptures, as Paul says in 2 Timothy 2:15, and the spiritual sensitivity to be alert to the work of the enemy. As our right understanding of Scripture grows, our discernment can be honed and sharpened. This is not just Bible knowledge, facts, and trivia, but it is a work of God in our hearts as we humble ourselves to be discerning. Many people trump the Scripture for their own ideas and self-proclaimed authority. But we must always remember the Scriptures is the sole and final authority for truth and life. For the Christian Scripture is to be the standard of all the claims made by the world. But it takes more than intellectual knowledge to develop discernment. There are those who know the Bible well, but who are still deceived. So we must not think that mere intellectual growth in Bible knowledge will keep us from succumbing to the devil's wiles. Faith is our shield against his missiles of deceit and temptation, and God will give wisdom to his children who are humble enough to recognize that they need it. We must keep learning the Bible, for the more we know it, the more we can be set free and be equipped so that we can avoid being deceived. Yet this very important truth must be processed along with the idea that we cannot rely upon our own minds as the sole means to substantiate our ability to discern, lest we fall. Our hope in having wisdom, discernment, and understanding is never the intellect alone. It is never the ability to read people alone. It is never prior experience alone. God can and does teach us through our minds and through our experiences. But we must remember that the way to increase in wisdom is simply to ask God for it. God will take care of the rest of it as we walk by faith and in obedience. James 1:5 says, "But if any of you lacks wisdom, let him ask of God, who gives to all generously and without reproach, and it will be given to him." Solomon, the wisest man to live, also asked God for wisdom, and God bestowed it on him. Wisdom is given to us by God as we ask him in faith. It is not self-generated, but it is a gift of God. God's grace then infuses our study of Scripture so that we grow in wisdom. The Spirit's prompting in our hearts becomes finely tuned so that we are alert when we need to be alert. Discernment is God's gracious gift to those who seek it by faith. Those who really want discernment will then do as the Bereans did when they daily searched the Scriptures to see if what they were being taught was indeed true. Those who have developed discernment won't believe somebody just because he or she has written a best-selling book or has built a national ministry, has a theology degree, or is a good communicator. They will believe a person only when he or she teaches the truth of the Scripture. To get better and better at this, and none of us have arrived or are totally immune to deceptions, we must be students of the Bible. Students who do not gloat in our understanding, but rather students who continue to ask God for wisdom. God does not want those who think they have arrived. He wants those who understand that they have not arrived. We must recognize our human weakness, fallibility, and vulnerability, such that we humbly ask God for wisdom. He will give it to those who ask in faith and who are humble, teachable, contrite, and trembling before his word. Colossians 2:3 says, "In him," that is in Jesus, "are hidden all the treasures of wisdom and knowledge." Therefore, we can never afford to neglect turning to God for wisdom and discernment. He will train us and teach us, but we must be continually willing to learn, willing to admit when we are wrong, willing to be humbled, and willing to keep seeking. As deceptions increase, so must our ability to discern them. So how do we apply this to the secular area? Well, tune in on Saturday for that next part, okay? Very good. I want to thank you for listening and have a great day. And it's wonderful down here. As you can hear, I don't know if you heard the birds singing and the dogs barking and you see the trees behind me, but it's just a beautiful area down here. So thank you all. Have a great day and God bless you.